Thanks everyone for joining. Welcome to our very first AI session at Beyond. We are excited to kick off this new space with all of you. The idea behind these sessions is very simple, to create a space where we can share real and useful experiences using AI, whether it's a new tool you have discovered or a prompt that saved your day. This is the space to bring in. And we really hope these meetups become an inspiring space for all of you. Yeah, let's start today's session, from familiar to new, using AI to bridge test automation gaps. Our speaker today is Josue Mora Martínez, a Q&A automation engineer from Costa Rica, who holds a degree in computer engineering. He's passionate about exploring AI-powered automation tools across platforms, and he's always looking to push the boundaries of efficiency and innovation. I will be moderating today's session, so feel free to leave any comments or questions in the chat. We will address it later. Okay, Josue, the floor is yours.
Perfect. So, well, guys, it's a pleasure. Just like Belen says, I'm from Costa Rica. I'm a QA automation engineer. I've been working in automation and QA in general for more than 9 years. And I have worked for different platforms, different projects. And right now, more recently, I've been working a lot with AI to help me do and improve my automation skills and also my automation projects. And just like I say here, to go beyond the borders of what I know. And this is what exactly we're going to see on this session. What are we going to talk about? Pretty much, we're going to make an example using AI for doing an automation test. That sounds really simple, but we're going to do it in a really special and specific way. So we're going to see which is the challenge that we need to do. We're going to see how exactly AI is going to help us do it. We're going to see what exactly doesn't change even if you're going to use something that you don't actually know. What I mean by that is if you work, I don't know, in Java and you need to make a project on another language that you don't actually know, there's always rules and principles that don't actually change. And we're going to do this with a live demo. Pretty much most of the presentation is going to be related to the live demo. But just to give the clear signs, okay, the challenge. This is an interesting one. Well, I don't know how many of you are QA engineers or QA automation or SDETs, anything like that. But most of the time, we actually know some specific frameworks that we use. Let's call things like Selenium, let's say Playwright, WebdriverIO, Cypress, any other form of Selenium with any language like Java, Java plus Selenium, Python Selenium, Ruby Selenium, something like Robot, like any really specific things that most of the time when you work as a QA engineer, you tend to use what exactly is being used on the project. So if you have a project that is in Java, most of the time you're going to use Java Selenium. If you have a web project, you're going to use either Playwright, WebdriverIO, any other form of Selenium, or even something that doesn't use Selenium like Cypress. But the challenge here is how do you become, or what do you do when you know any of these platforms, but you don't know something specific like Swift or Kotlin? This is just an example. You cannot know any other thing. And what I mean by that is like Swift, like this one, isn't a specific language used for developing iOS applications. And Kotlin, it's like an evolution of Java. It's like what TypeScript is to JavaScript to Java. Kotlin is pretty similar to Java, but most of the time it's being used mostly for Android development. So why does this matter? Is that sometimes you can know Swift for iOS development, but if you're a QA automation engineer, most of the time you don't know Swift because you don't actually use it for doing automation most of the time. Most of the time you're working on Playwright, Selenium, anything like that. Or another good example, it's Kotlin, that it's really specific for Android development, and you can use it also for development like Java does, but most of the time, those are really specific languages that you don't use outside of those areas. So yeah, why AI matters here? This is the example that I'm giving. Let's say that you know TypeScript, you know Node.js, but you need to do a project that is specifically reading in Swift because you need to do something like automation specific on an iPad or in iOS or for an Apple TV. And you know how to use TypeScript, but you cannot use TypeScript to write Swift. You can use it in some examples using Appium, but it's different. Let's say that you really need to do it natively. So without AI, you don't know exactly how to do it. You need to investigate, you need to learn. Part of the reasons of the talk is also that I want to point out that you always need to learn and you always need to check the things that you're doing. It's not like AI does it magically, but it's gonna help you to do it in a more easier way, trying to translate what you already know and use it specifically for the things that you don't know. Like in this example, translating TypeScript or the framework that you know and use it on a specific example with Swift. And just like I said from the beginning, pretty much we're gonna do a specific example with Swift because it's something so specific that most of the QAs that I know and that I have seen haven't used it. So it's a good example to do something weird or complicated by using AI. What I mean, just like I said on the previous slide, there are principles that don't change. They don't change from language to language or what exactly you are doing. These are just some examples. There are more principles that don't actually change. But if you have used automation or you have done some automated testing, you probably have used page object model, you have used some inheritance when you work with objects, with object-oriented programming. If you have used Playwright, you probably have used dependency injection. They are called fixtures in Playwright, but it's a dependency injection in the end. And if you have done most of any projects or tests for getting a working software development, you probably have heard of SOLID, like single responsibility, open close principle, least substitution, and all of that. And why I say this? Because if you actually have if you have learned software in a good way and you know good principles, you know how to apply them, you know how they work, they are not tied to a language. So if you know this, it means that even if you're really good at a specific framework or something or a specific language, you can use AI to overcome that language and do these same examples in other languages or in other frameworks. So, okay, we're gonna do a live demo. Just like I said, we're gonna do it in Swift. It's specific to work, to make a test automated in Swift for an iOS application, and we're gonna do it with simulators, just in case. We're not gonna use any physical devices because it has its tricks to make it on physical devices, but we're gonna see it from the start. Also, so far, I would like to know if anyone has any question about what I've said so far, just before I start with the demo. Or I don't know, Belen, if anyone has put something on the chat.
Not yet, Josue. I think we can move forward.
Perfect. Okay, so let's continue with this. And also, I didn't mention it yet, but we're gonna use ChatGPT to make this example. I'm not gonna use anything like Cursor or anything that does the code for me totally. I'm gonna make it step by step using the chat version, because just like I said, for the principles, it's good that we follow the principles and we follow what exactly we're doing and do it step by step, but it's gonna be faster using AI. So, well, first and first, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start a new project in Xcode. I'm gonna start the project from the very beginning. So I'm gonna create a new project. I'm gonna create an app for iOS, and I'm gonna hit next. I'm gonna put a name on it. I'm gonna change the name. If you haven't used Xcode yet, has its tricks to not to set it up. To install it is pretty simple. You just download it from the App Store and it does everything for you. But you need to set up an account to start using it. But just in any case, this is like I just have Xcode. I already have an account, a personal account, and I'm gonna use Swift to make this. The only part that you actually need to know that is different is that you need to use XCUITest for the example that we're gonna do. But pretty much this is something that the AI can tell you on how to set it up. But I'm gonna show it here, just like that. So it's gonna be like that. I'm gonna create it. Gonna take a moment, and then we have a specific project for automation and for an app in iOS. This is gonna be pretty much, you can have the code for the app here. You're gonna have the test for unit tests here, and you're gonna have the UI test. Those are the ones that we're gonna use for this example. So just in any case, I'm gonna keep the app, but I'm gonna delete the unit test. I'm gonna move it to trash. Perfect. I have it here. It's gonna work. I'm just gonna run it. I'm gonna choose which device I'm gonna use. For this example, I'm gonna use an iPad Pro simulator, and I'm gonna build it. It's gonna be product, build. So far, I know I haven't used AI. I'm just making like the real first example of using the Xcode part of it. And I'm gonna build, and I'm gonna go on test. And test, what it's gonna do is gonna open the simulators, and it's gonna make the example. Don't worry about multiple simulators being opened. That's just how it works in Xcode from the bare minimum project, from the base code. It works like that. It opens a project for the unit test. It opens one project to open one simulator to open the application and one to run the test. So let's give it a second. Right now it's installing the applications. It's gonna go. One is gonna open the application. The other one's gonna make some test. Let's give it just a second. It's pretty much loading the application. And also a quick observation on this. Most of the time, anything related to Xcode or anything related to native iOS or native Android development, it's kind of slow. Most of the time it's slow, so don't worry if you see it that it takes a while. It's pretty normal for it to take a while. It's actually really heavy. It's actually a really heavy load on the computer and also on Xcode and everything. So all good there. Still launching the test demo UI test. Just a second. It's gonna take just a second for it to finish. Also, in the meantime, I don't know if any of you guys have any question about this so far. I think I heard something.
The chat, it's looking clear for now. Feel free to leave your comments there or open the mic if you wish to add something.
Yeah, in fact, if I'm totally honest, I don't mind if anyone wants to interrupt and just be like, I have a question about this, about what we're talking about right now. Don't worry, you can just tell me. But no, just in any case, you can see it right now. It's turning the screen. It's running some tests, and those are the default tests that you run. And you can see that it says test complete. Just like I said, it takes a while to start running tests, but they'll work. Okay, perfect. Now we're gonna start using AI. Okay, what I'm gonna say all the context that I'm gonna need help on in how exactly am I going to use the tool. So I'm gonna say, okay, I'm an automation engineer that knows how to work with TypeScript, WebdriverIO, Playwright, and Cypress. But I need help setting up an automated test for XCUITest. That's the framework that you use to write some tests in native Swift for iOS devices. But I need help setting up an automated test for XCUITest. And you will help me set it up and make some tests on it. Right now, if we answer. Okay. A bit here. So it's going to be here. It's going to say the UI targets. It's going to say the project layout. It's going to give some examples. Perfect. Maybe one thing that I need to, I'm not giving a ton of code and ton of examples on what exactly I need. That's cool. This is like the first time that does it. But maybe one observation that I'm gonna need to make with this is that I have done this specific example for setting up a project using Xcode and XUI. And I've done it already like 4 or 5 times. And I do get to the same results, but don't always get the exact same answers on every time that I do ask the same thing. So maybe one observation is that, and this is something that I want to focus on, is that you actually need to have a good context and to know what exactly you need to do and some basic code concepts of development to start doing these kind of things, because you need to know and interpret the answers that you get from the AI. But that's cool. Okay. So for now, I'm going to say, so for now, let's make a pretty simple test that will open the settings app and verify there's a text that says general. It's going to be like this. Okay. This specific example, settings app test, it's going to go, and you can see it's going to go and open the application. It's going to open it. It's going to say that it has general, and it's going to assert that it says the general. Perfect. I'm going to make this specific example here. Just in case it has some 2 basic tests that it comes from the of the project, I'm going to delete this one. And I'm going to overwrite this other one with the one I got from ChatGPT. So pretty much it's going to go, just like I said, it's going to open the settings app. It's going to launch the settings app. It's going to check that it has a general text, and it's going to check that the text exists. So I'm going to run it again, and it's going to go on test. So what this is going to do, it's going to open the simulator. Let's give it just a second for it to run. And actually, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to close the simulators, and I'm going to run this from the start, just for it to open the simulators again. Okay. Just give it just a second. It's gonna go, it's gonna install the demo UI test on the simulator. It's quite interesting that it got like stretched out, but this is just the simulator like being kind of weird. But pretty much it did what exactly I wanted it to do. It opened the settings and it should check that the general is showing and says like test completed. Perfect. We have a working example of a test. That's great. Gonna see if I'm able to make this show again like normal. Now it shows again normal. That's just weird. Pretty interesting example. So pretty much after this, I already have a quick example that it does goes and open the application, it checks general, and it does asserts that general it's actually visible. As every aspect of test automation, we want to check that it works, but it also fails. So I'm gonna change this general to have something different that I know it's gonna fail because it's not gonna see this word there. And I'm gonna run the test again. I'm gonna go ahead and go on test. It should go ahead and do the same on the simulators. One is gonna open this, the other it's gonna go and open general. It's gonna open the settings app. Let's give it a second. And it failed. Why it failed? Because it's trying to get general, but I change it here and it's not gonna show this specific string. Just in case, what I'm trying to check is that it shows something that says general like this one. Perfect. So we're gonna do the next step that is gonna be click on here where it says developer and then check that it says something like dark appearance. That's the test that we're gonna do. It's pretty simple, but it's gonna work for our example. So it's gonna be general, perfect. Now, something that we're gonna use right now, this is just like I said, again, it's something really specific for this kind of development. When you try to use development on XCUI, is that we're gonna use I'm gonna open the simulator first. And I'm gonna open the simulator that I want is this one, the iPad Pro 13-inch. Let's give just a second for it to load. Perfect. Now it's there. And I'm gonna use a tool from Xcode that it's called an accessibility inspector. If any of you have done any UI or any automation in web, when you use the developer tools, this is the same. What I'm talking about here about the accessibility inspector is pretty much the same, but for iOS simulators or iOS devices, pretty much it does the same. Does anyone wanted to say something? I think I heard something.
No, we don't have a message in the chat.
Okay, that's cool. I think I heard something. No problem. Perfect. So what I'm gonna do here is with using the accessibility inspector, I'm gonna check for this specific item. I want this item. I want to click or tap on this item. So I'm gonna check it out. I already have it here. So what I'm gonna do, it's very interesting. I'm gonna make a screenshot of the accessibility inspector. I'm gonna go ahead again to ChatGPT and I'm gonna say, cool, that worked perfect. Now I need to click / tap on this element. Oh, I think it changed the model. Okay. I'm gonna need to click or tap on this element. Just in case, what I did is that for some reason the model changed and the one that accepts the screenshots is this one, the 4.0 and I think 0.3. That's six screenshots too. Okay, I'm gonna need to click or tap on this element and then check if there's a text. This one, it's gonna be this one, dark appearance. Dark appearance. That's a little bit weird word. Dark appearance. Perfect. Gonna make that. Yes, got it. You already confirmed. Perfect. Tap the developer button. Wait for that appearance to appear. So it's gonna click on static test, developer. It's gonna wait for the existence. It's gonna tap on it. Dark appearance text. Perfect. I think that code will work, but there's a chance it doesn't work because it says that it's going to try to click on a static test text instead of a button. So I'm gonna copy it out. We're gonna try it out and see if it fails. If it fails, it's because it's trying to tap on a text instead of a button. But again, just to the example that I said from the beginning, sometimes you need to learn and know what exactly you're reading out or copying out from the AI for it to work. It's not always that it's gonna work right away at the first time. So it's gonna be here. It actually changed the name of my test. Still opening the Apple preferences. Still checking for developer option. And it's checking for dark appearance. All right, perfect. I'm gonna run again this test. I'm gonna go ahead and go product test. So I'm gonna open the simulators to see what it does. This is the one that I was using. The ones that it uses for testing are different than the one that you actually use for running the test. So let's give it a second, see what it does. Okay, it opened there. Then it went here. It went on developer and when I should check that it says something like dark appearance. I think it worked. Perfect. It says complete. Perfect. This worked perfectly the first time. At some point, I did try this same example and it failed at this point. So that's why I say it doesn't always gonna work perfectly right away. But okay, that's good. Now we have a working example where it goes and opens the application, checks developer, checks their appearance. That's all great. Perfect. So I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna go here. And now let's make this code better. Let's go to the next step. So this is my working version. Perfect. Now I want the elements that you interact with to be part of a class like a page object model called settings page. And make sure the test now just call the elements from that class/page object. Perfect. We're gonna make it like this. Just a second. A quick answer. Perfect. So it's gonna make me the example of the settings page, Swift. It's gonna say has the application, has the bar or locators like getters. If you know about working with pages with object-oriented programming, you know about getters. These are like the equivalent of getters there in Swift. And we have functions. Those are the same as functions on a class. It's gonna work like that. Perfect. And it gives me the example of the test. Perfect. Makes total sense for me. Let's use it out. So I'm gonna go ahead on the project. I have it here. I have this. I'm gonna make a new folder called pages. I'm gonna add this one there. So I'm gonna go ahead and gonna make a new empty file. I'm gonna put it settings page, Swift. I'm gonna copy this specific example. Same thing. It's gonna be like this. It's gonna be quite interesting that it's making a struct instead of a class, but let's see it out. Okay, and it's gonna go here. It's gonna make all these examples, and then I'm gonna go ahead and make the specific changes on the test that I already did on this one. So it's gonna be the same. It's gonna go ahead and it's gonna call the specific application. It's gonna launch it. It's gonna go on settings page. It's gonna tap on developer. It's gonna assert that dark appearance is visible. Should be the same logic. Now it's a little bit more organized. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and run this test again. Let's see if it works. It's gonna go ahead. It's gonna be on developer. It's gonna see dark appearance, and it should work. And it says complete. Great. We have a working example. We just got to a good example where it's using page object model. We have the test and it's working. Great. No, one more thing. Let's make one more thing here. So I'm gonna make this perfect. Oh, let's make two things. I'm gonna see that I have tab here. And I have some assertions on the actions. So let's say, okay, I like it. It works. Now, I have the actions, but I would love to have a class that it's called UI actions with actions like tap, assert visible, write text, and things that are reusable for future test. Give me that and rewrite the settings page. Got it. Perfect. So it gave me an example of a class that is called UI actions. It's going to have the application. It's going to have tab, assert visible, write text, some examples. Perfect. That should work. I think the code is getting a little bit more complicated to understand in general, but let's use it as it is for now. Further down the road will be good to actually check it out if all of this code actually makes what I'm expecting on and to understand everything that it does. But for the example, let's use it like this. And it gave me the refactor for settings page Swift. That actually makes sense for me. And the test stays the same. The test should stay the same, actually. That makes sense. So I'm going to make here on Xcode, I'm going to make another folder called utils. And I'm going to make this class UI actions. So I'm going to make the empty file UI actions. I'm going to make this example. Perfect. Have it here. Great. And then I'm going to change the settings page. Perfect. Makes sense to me. I'm gonna go ahead and change the settings page. It should be like this, and the test stays the same. Let's go ahead and let's run it again. Okay. This one should open the settings. It's gonna go ahead. It should click on developer, and it's gonna check dark appearance. That's completed. Perfect. Worked. So far, and you can see that I haven't I haven't wrote any lines of code by myself. Right now, I'm just setting up the project from the start, just using AI. Okay, perfect. Now, one more thing. I'm gonna copy this specific part, and I'm gonna tell it. Great. So far, so good. So for this part, I want to make something like a base test or base page that will allow me to define which application I want to use and make something like a dependency injection, like fixtures from Playwright that will let me need to define every time I want to use a page object. Perfect. A base test that handles app creation launch, injects the XCUI application, and feels like Playwright fixture, so your test only deals with page objects, not add setup. Perfect. The base test, it's gonna be like this. It has the XCUI application, the settings page, the identifier, the setup. Perfect. And on the setup, I do have the settings page, and that is already initialized. It's gonna launch the application, and it's gonna terminate the application once it does a tear down. And the test should change. Perfect. Okay, let's make this specific example. Gonna make this base test here. I'm gonna make it on utils too. I'm gonna go ahead and new empty file. Base test. I'm gonna copy this specific example. So it has like this, settings page, has everything. It initializes the application. It initializes the page objects. That makes a lot of sense. And I'm gonna go ahead and change the test. And the test, this one, should change to be just like this. I have the page object here, have the base test here, and I have the test here and all the actions here. Perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and run the test one more time. Should do that. It's gonna go ahead and start general, developer, check dark appearance, and then it should, I think I know why it failed. So test completed. No, it worked. Perfect. I don't know why it gave me that. But it actually worked and did what exactly I wanted it to do. So, well, so far, so good. It worked. Perfect. And we can see, just like I said on the presentation, we already use page object model. We already use some inheritance. We did some dependency injection. We haven't used anything related to Solid, but that's good for the example. But everything I did was asking the right questions to what exactly I needed and gave the AI some examples like pictures from Playwright, like I need to make some page object model, I need to make this example, I need to make this. I actually even needed to to make the selectors myself. I just took a screenshot and sent it and say like, okay, can you make a selector for this, make this, and it made everything. Maybe the part, and this is the one that I want to focus on, is that I actually needed to know what exactly to write, what exactly I actually needed to know how to read the code in order to ask for the different things. But it's not that I was an expert on Swift, and I'm not. I'm totally not. I have worked a little bit on it, and I know some stuff, but I know things like object-oriented programming, some good principles, how to do automation, what exactly is an element, actions, and things like that. But I actually don't know the language itself. So AI is actually helping me bridge those gaps for this example. And you saw it working in real time. I didn't actually made up anything. I actually made all these examples already working. And if you go right now and you need to set up a project for Swift for doing UI automation on it, you have a pretty good solid starter project where you can define the application, you can set up you can put the setup, the page objects, you can make some examples of tests, you have UI actions, you can go ahead and start writing some tests on it by just doing this. And we took like 25 minutes to make this example. At some other points in history or software development, this could have taken you days of investigating how to use XCUITest. So this is the example that I wanted to give. And also, I wanted to also say something specific to also see really specific for the people that working, hiring, things like that. Getting to get someone that is really good at a specific framework or language or anything like that, it's always useful, but those you don't need to just focus on the person being good at Java or Playwright or something like that, because if they're good at what they're doing, they know how to translate what they're doing using AI to other languages, you get someone that can have a really good solid project in less than a week. So you don't, right now you should focus on learning more about good development, about good practices, principles, things like that, rather than being just good at something specific or a specific technology. Well, pretty much that was the live demo. Now, questions and answers. I really want to hear any comments from you guys. Also, just like I said, from hiring, if you have questions about that, about what I said, that you don't need someone that is so good and is so just one specific framework. You can have someone that is good at that framework, but also help in other principles and other things. Yeah. Any questions, guys?
We have a comment from Jimmy that he said it's right. Principles persist, tools change. Some message of great job, Josue. I don't know if anyone have another question or comment. You can open your mic too also.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think we don't have more questions, but if any of you have doubts, you can reach out Josue through Slack also. So thanks everyone for joining. Thanks Josue for sharing your experience. Great job, great presentation. We will be posting this presentation probably in YouTube, in our YouTube channel. So we will share it later so you can revisit. Yeah, I think that's all. Thanks a lot for joining today.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. And just in any case, that code was pretty simple, but if you want it on a GitHub repo, I can also share it. Just like I said, it's a really, really simple starter project. And if you see the video, you can do it yourself. But it's useful. And I do have this story besides, but on my own client, I do have a pretty solid project done on Swift, just done like this, like going from the start to getting a solid project that it works.
That's so cool. Thanks, Josue.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.